Welcome to another presentation in our beautiful Self-Empowerment and Miracles Summit series. Today, we are talking with two beautiful souls who are sharing on quantum shamanic alchemy. What does that mean? And what can we do to bring this into our lives? We are here with Devi Grace and Simon Hinton, and I'm here with my co-host, Lori Rayon. Let's welcome both of these beautiful souls, all these beautiful souls, to this platform. Thank you both for being here. And Lori, thank you. You can lead with our first question.
Well, we're delighted you're both here, and we're so excited to be presenting this self-empowerment seminar. We believe that this is one of the most important topics, in our society right now, is that people find their self-empowerment. They find their individuality, and they rise up, in their strength and their confidence, and finding their freedom, so that they can fulfill their mission. So, what would your comments be around your version and your work in the world regarding self-empowerment?
Okay, well, thank you, first of all, guys, for having us. It's a privilege to be here. I can speak for Devi as well. We're delighted to be here to share these important teachings at this critical time in human evolution. A lot of people are in fear around the world. A lot of people are scared, even people who say they're light workers. It's easy to get into fear with all the mainstream media and all the stuff that's being chucked out at us. Devi and I have been working with the quantum field, and she'll explain her own story shortly, but we've been working with it consciously for quite a long time, decades in my own case. And the quantum field is basically the non-temporal source of all. And if we can access that consciously, which we can, then we have a chance, a very, very good opportunity to transform the planet and to move us away from separation, the plausible imposition of separation via the cerebral cortex, into a different way of perceiving the world and a different way of acting, a different way of behaving, moving into a hologram awareness, which means we recognize that every action that we take has an impact, and that impact will come back to us. So it's very important to focus our actions and through the heart, and everything we do is through the heart. It's all about love, all about unity consciousness, all about connection, all about serving others, because when we help others, the universe helps us. And Devi and I have got together under unusual circumstances, very, very synchronistic, incredibly uncanny, the parallels between us. She comes from an unusual place, very high up, connected to the quantum field. I'm very practical and pragmatic with my teachings. I'm not saying she isn't, she is, but we've sort of come together, and my job is all in a way to sort of translate a lot of the very, very high vibrational conduit channelings that she brings through, and to put them into a more kind of palatable form. So thank you for having me. That's my little introduction. Devi.
It's good to be here this December, and especially right before the annual 12/12 in our traditions. That is the Quantum Stargate on the feast day of Guadalupe, with the 11/11 Universal Solstice, which is all about the sacred union between the primordial divine feminine and the primordial divine masculine. Many people honor the 11/11. The 12/12 specifically is that quantum shamanic alchemy through the divine marriage, this unification between these two ends of the spectrum. The synthesis of all duality is best represented through that partnership of the conscious masculine and the conscious feminine for the evolution of the species. So we're about raising that light quotient within our bodies, and from there, the miracles and the self-empowerment is physically or somatically possible. And it is a gift of grace, so we call it the Mother-Father Source Code, and it utilizes the laws of grace, which transmutes what you would call those karmic imprints. So if humanity feels stuck, or family systems feel stuck, or social systems are bogged down in this residue, they can have this beautiful conduit that we call a vertical alignment back to that source template that the Gnostics referred to as the pleroma. Inside of that pleroma, this quantum unified field is made up of the Sophia, the Divine Mother, and the Logos, or the monad of creation. And when you combine those two primal strands of energy, then you're moving into a really advanced space of what we call twin flame physics. Now, that's not an outside person. The empowerment means that this multidimensional love frequency is ultimately designed to unite and unify with ourselves, four lower bodies: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So that's kind of like the graduation of the human race coming into, spiritus sanctus, sapien divinus, homo noeticus, the biological ascension for humanity. So we just go straight to the top.
Yes,
Wow.
essentially, I mean, it's a very complex subject. And yet at the same time, the principles are fairly simple. So we have complexity emerging from simplicity. We have God, Godhead, whatever you want to call it, Allah, Jehovah, Yahweh, the quantum field that exists outside the worlds of space and time as we know it. And it is a source. Many people refer it to the source now. What happens is, because of the so-called fall of man or woman, the disconnect, which has happened and been supported over many thousands of years by energies that do not want us to rise up and ascend and claim our power, there's been a very trickling down flow from the quantum field. So in a way, what we're trying to do, what we want to do, what we're doing is teaching people to access that quantum field more consciously. And it's not just a mental body process, it's an activational process that requires a new kind of circuitry in the light body to come online. Now, that circuitry we refer to as a kind of a latent circuitry, and Devi and I individually have often referred to it as the metamorphosis. The caterpillar has the blueprint of a butterfly, but it's not actually a butterfly yet. It just stays in the cocoon for a while, and then when it gets to a certain level, then it's activated, and those circuitry of the originally a caterpillar becomes the butterfly. And it's a very good metaphor. So what we're doing is showing people practical ways to access their latent blueprint, the truest, highest blueprint. And that highest blueprint, and this is where the teachings, certainly what Devi's brought to my table, even though I've been working with the quantum field for such a long time, the teachings are about the inner twin flame, which is a representation of mother, father, source code in its purest form, the beautiful supernal archetypal mother and the beautiful creative supernal archetype father. We can microcosmically learn to activate, access, and hold that in our field on a microcosmic level. The ramifications of that are phenomenal. A different kind of human, not one that's subject to the ancestral tearing and karma from our parents, our grandparents, and our peer groups, but a new kind of human that rises up and finds real true balance and harmony between the yin and the yang. And what's really interesting is when that harmony happens, a third principle takes us beyond the Pisces Vescula and creates a tri-wave. And that third principle Devi calls the arc of grace. It's this super, super potent coherence flowing through that can literally collapse and neutralize all our pain, all our sorrow, all our suffering, all our trauma, all our karma can be ameliorated. So that is the peach on the tree, if you like, why we're so excited about this, because the earth just needs help at this time of its change, and we want to do as much as we can to bring that help to ordinary people.
That is so beautiful, and it feels extremely comforting as we are sovereign beings, and this is within us. You called it a new technology, a latent blueprint, and the tri-wave or the arc of grace, harmony in the yin yang. So we are walking yin yangs, and if we balance this, if we come at home to this, is what you're both saying, then life becomes magical. So then how do we recognize this? Can you both share on what needs to be done to bring this into our human realities?
The first step is recognizing that each and every one of us has a divine child in that template. And that's best represented in those numbers of the 1212. It's the two divine parents, and then that one, the two and the one, we become that one sacred gift as their divine child, which has nothing to do with your family line or your genetic records, right? Or your human personality or your human identity. When we return to the one inside of ourselves in relationship to the primordial two twin flames, that the heavenly beloveds, right, the twin rays at the ongoing moment of creation, then we can rise above our programming. And this is where you can get access to that core wound that we all agreed on some level to take on some version of amnesia in what we lovingly call the pre-birth planning councils. And so that's kind of like that space before you arrive into your earth quest, your earth journey. So everyone is a shero or a hero on their hero's journey. And what better way of remembering who you truly are than to go back to the energy of that unified consciousness that sent you on this pilgrimage with unconditional love, unconditional acceptance, and the total assurance that ultimately you crack that code of your destiny or the embodiment of your dharma. So that's why Simon was saying it is a dormant or latent divine blueprint that we all carry, have always carried it inside of us until that moment where we choose to turn on those circuits or turn on those meridians or turn on those nadi channels or turn on those ley lines. And what allows it to be shamanic this time, it's in partnership with the ley lines and the crystalline grid system of the whole planet. It's not an individual awakening that's disconnected from the morphogenetic unified field of the planet that's also going through her ascension cycle. So there's this symbiosis. I am activating my codes because I have that courage and bravery that this is it. This is my magnum opus, as we used to say in ancient alchemical traditions. And that's why you're receiving this transmission from both Simon and I today. Think of me as more of your right brain and Simon as more of the left brain, so that we have that whole brain state. The other way of viewing it is that, yes, we are spirit and we are also matter. So that original twin flame, that original hieros gamos, is also between the light body and the human body, between the substance, the essence, and the form, between the radiance and the structure. So this male-female has nothing to do with gender. The male-female has everything to do with pure divine plasma energy substance and the receivership of that geo-divinity down into the body temple, aka the marriage of heaven on earth, quite literally. Therefore, that requires the full humility as the divine child goes before its divine parents and says, I am ready. And it's a homecoming. I'm ready to come home to my own original state of wholeness, which is then the reconciling of all of that fragmentation or all of those timelines where you still have unfinished business, is the easiest way that we can translate it.
And
Simon?
Lauren, yes, and Lauren, thank you, Devi, thank you. And Lauren, you did mention how can this happen? So I just want to clarify, I work as a healer, have done for a long time, the clinic and stuff. And one of the things I always teach people or share with them is when we're helping somebody, we don't get personally embroiled or caught up in their stuff, because that's rescuing. So we don't rescue. We don't get caught up and create other types of attachments or dependencies, which unfortunately is a tendency for some people. What we do is something called entrainment. And entrainment means we hold the energy that we're transmitting. We've both been activated to quite a high level because we've both done a lot of work, Devi and I. So we're still working on ourselves all the time as humans. Of course we are. But we hold that state, the hieros gamos state in this case, and we entrain it to those who will openly, willfully acquiesce or agree to have the upgrade. And then the entrainment doesn't actually get caught up. It's a catalyst. And a catalyst is the divine trigger, if you like, a divine triggering process or activation process. So if you go back to the metaphor of the caterpillar in the cocoon, we know that there's external triggers like heat and light and seasons that eventually, get that gestating caterpillar eventually into the butterfly state. Well, in a sense, that's what we do. We entrain, we activate, and the idea is we get to a certain level of activation when it will just become automatic for people. But you have to start somewhere. When Roger Bannister ran the 4-minute mile, people said he could never run a mile in 4 minutes. Within 3 months of him running it, 300 people had run the mile under 4 minutes, because in the field of our consciousness, we call it morphogenic field, something had happened. And so suddenly it was possible. So the way showers had made a path. Roger Bannister had made a path, running a mile under 4 minutes. And we also, with our research, our development, our practice, our dedication to human evolution, we're working with others like-minded people to create these paths to make it easier for people to rise up and move into their true divine blueprint, which some people call the Maya Varupa body, the ultimate divine blueprint, which all of us have, as above, so below. But of course, there has been a disconnect, and we want to reconnect back to source on a much more fluid and flowing level, so that we can become perfected expressions of mother, father, source code, and then the birthing of that, the alchemical child, the arc of grace, to neutralize the sorrow, the suffering, and the pain of yesteryear.
It's a wonderful description of the basic teaching, made more clear in the sense of a lot of the work we're doing. We actually use the word triangulation to foster the memories and the way to sort of collapse duality and step into triangulation, which of course is a connection to the earth, is the feminine connection to source code, or sun, if you will, as the masculine energy, and then coming back to the heart, which is the seat of the soul or the monad connection. And when we're in that triangulation, everything that I've learned from the animals is, of course, my great teachers, is that sustainable change becomes possible. Sustainable. And everything that we create through duality, of course, is collapsible, because there's the right and the wrong, the left and the right, and always the resistance and the sense of a warlike energy, which is one is right and one is wrong. And in reality, that's not true. It's just free will choice. And when we come to free will choice, we come to alchemy, like you're talking about, and the understanding of triangulation is the basic format we should be teaching our children to create from triangulation, and the understanding of the balance. I would call that the ultimate unity. And I just love your description. It just took it to a whole nother level for me to help others, So thank you.
You're welcome.
Laurie, you just mentioned something that's triggered me also. Thank you. It's both Devi and I, in one of the many uncanny synchronicities between us, work with something called verticality. And verticality means that we transcend attachments to people, places, outcomes, and things. We don't use people, places, and outcomes as things as a food source. We connect it to source. So verticality is the true triangulation. So that can only really happen with the open heart. It can't happen with the mind. So the true vertical chakra alignment and the tri-wave can happen when we learn to disconnect attachments, i.e. negative, addictive attachments, which is how the world runs, into a new way of operating. The Buddha taught non-attachment is the key to mastery. We teach verticality is the key to non-attachment. So connection to source is the key. The recalibration and realignment of the energy field is required to really live a life of verticality. And it requires discipline. It requires constant work, because we're human and we're in a world that tries to disconnect and disempower us. So we're constantly disciplining ourselves to do our best to trust, and trust comes from the heart.
Absolutely. So important.
The other principle that will be very helpful for people to connect with is the realization that it is a free will choice to trust our body with our spirit. Most would assume, well, of course, I choose love. This is that somatic, cellular, visceral embodiment of multidimensional love where I trust my body with my eternal spirit. In order to have that vertical alignment, which the mystics referred to as unio mystica, one must balance the lunar and the solar circuits of those masculine and feminine principles inside of our own body, mind, heart, soul, and psyche. We have to have that mystical marriage inside of ourselves before we can access true center line. So you really can't actually go vertical until you balance what the ancients referred to as that shamanic harmonization of the sun and the moon inside of each and every one of us. So this twin flame within us is the first step. Yes.
Thank you.
And then in that foundation of these two beloveds inside, as you can see, that radiance quotient is ascending through the middle. You can see it in that Celtic pattern of the trivecca, the triskel. So we are both those spirals of quantum consciousness in our masculine and feminine aspects. And then it rises into that apex, which is their original state of unity and wholeness as that transcendent space of origins. So Simon and I are actually going to facilitate a journey, a pilgrimage, and a quest for everyone today inside of this broadcast to have that reunion and to have that homecoming with the support and guidance, because we've already navigated those pathways or forged those channels inside of our own bodies, so that your body, through that principle of entrainment, can remember that you know how to bring this about inside of yourself too. It's the original promise. And down in South America, that's why they have the temples of Pachatata on one side of Lake Titicaca and the temples of Pachamama on the other side. They always honored what we would call grandfather fire and grandmother growth. So this twin flame alchemy is in every culture, not just the Shiva and the Shakti, not just the Abba and the Ama, not just the Alpha and Omega. There's this realization where the two has always been three. Therefore, the 12-12, the one plus the two, the three, it's actually a trinitized grace, as we say. And that's really much the key code. And that's where my brain starts going into light language. So I'll say it also in the language of unity, which is not English. Teshkir ojeda Zekia onloje devotor kotanas. Now your soul knows exactly what I'm saying. Saying the same thing, but at a higher frequency. Akatish anaide laikikia jota rekia. This is Gaia speaking through me, speaking tree of life. This is a holographic language. Let it wash through your cell structures. So what your divine parents are saying is that before each and every one of you ever incarnated on this planet, they sent you in with this package. Everything that Simon and I are basically communicating and conveying was woven into the fibers of your heart womb, even before your very first incarnation. So use that creative capacity, your imagination. Go back to that star seed side of you before you ever came to planet Earth. And that all this wisdom was actually entrusted into you or sent with you in a way team mission packet. And Simon and I are speaking to that deep reservoir, treasure chest, deep inside of you. With their assistance. My divine child, you already know this. Mary Magdalene and Christ said, let yourself remember. So feel all of those ascended masters here, the lords and ladies of light, all the different pantheons, like the Taras and the Babaji, or the Germain and Portia, Sananda, Shakina, the pantheon of all the twin primes. Human incarnations such as Saint Francis and Saint Clare, the Dianto Paraina, Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, they have already remembered this universal truth that Simon and I speak to you of, but they had an external mirror. Now we ask you to internalize this reflection and claim the same truth on the inside, this artwork on the inside of your own womb or chalice grail of your heart. Batia noshke ne'iia. And this is kind of like the dropping of the old programming, conditioning, imprinting, and coming into this sovereign space of knowing and gnosis. Simon?
Thank you. Yes, so we're calling in the pure nature of Mother, Father, Source Code, and we're humbly surrendering to something greater than ourselves. This requires us to move beyond the limitations of what some call the third dimensional mind or ego, the cerebral cortex, and the survival mechanisms that we see around the planet, into a different kind of consciousness. Consciousness that is truly representative of the infinite power of Godhead in its beauteous form, the particle, the masculine, the wave, the feminine, and the incredible devotion that they have for each other is the birthing of the world of form. From that, the kaleidoscopic radiance of their love produces this arc of grace. This arc of grace opens the high heart and begins the biological ascension process, brings in the Magdalena energy, the triangle pointed downward that's blue, that complements the Christ pointing upwards that's red. And from that red and blue, the will of the Christ, the love of the Magdalena, emerges the violet flame, the alchemical violet flame, the seventh ray, which of course has other harmonics within that too. So we open ourselves up to a divine alchemy with surrender, with humility, with love, with willingness to learn and to listen and to receive something better. And when we have that level of humility, and when we really do open up with true heart-centeredness, we may receive the coherence of the infinite, the true nature of the universe that can clean up this planet and clean up the mess, the separation and the misalignment of the so-called free will universe into the hologram of eternal joy, of love, of wisdom, of peace, of understanding. And that's what we call in for all who are watching this. You too can be part of this. Just open, have humility, and do your best to step outside of the limitations of the mind, useful as it may be, into a different type of awareness. We all have it encoded within us. The sentience of kinesthesia, of feeling, through the expanded personalized energy field and connecting with other like-minded ones through our higher chakras and lower centers, the earth star and the soul star, into a flowing continuum. And the more that we connect with that, we create this beautiful egregore, meaning a magical machine of divine change and love. And this, the Hieros Gamos, will flow through. And that flowing in, when we really open up to it, will transmute the separation and sadness of the ancestral karmic imprints and the soul splits, which we've all suffered from to greater and lesser extent through the ages. I wish that for everybody who's open and willing to receive. Thank you. Amen.
It's really liberating to feel into the words that you both just shared. And for those, I know there's so many that are still looking outside of themselves for this union. And so I feel that there's a sense of grief that some could have about that. But on the flip side, it's deeply comforting to know that it's all within us. And the word that you use, the hieros gamos, galactic hieros gamos. Can you explain what that is? That is this direct link upward. Is that what you mean by this?
Yes. The best way to refamiliarize ourselves with this texture of light that the Isis lineage or the Sophia lineage is very adept at is the two principles of giving and receiving love. Love is. Now, we come down into a human body, and through that free will choice, we can either choose to emanate love, just ascending, sexually masculine principle, or allow that love, vulnerably surrender, accept, and receive it. Now, the body armor of the trauma that most of the human race has experienced, that they do not remember because it's in their blind spot, is some form of a block to giving or some form of a block of receiving love. So here we all know that love is the universal source energy of all creation. However, our bodies can have armor from previous trauma where it didn't actually look like human love was safe. So here we are to translate to that subconscious, unconscious body mind that divine love, the quantum, intergalactic, hieros gamos, is safe. And that's where we've got to go first to be able to heal the patterns of separation. Now, in your body, you have both those lunar and solar circuits. The sending radiance is the solar circuitry. That's the divine father. That's the sun, the great central sun, radiating that light. The part of you that feels safe enough to be vulnerable, accept and receive and allow is that lunar channels of receiving that reflection of love being mirrored back to you. So because of all of the systemic trauma that we know about in family systemic constellations with Bert Hellinger, who did that research with the Zulu tribes over in Africa, okay? We have this family constellation now with the grace of that first love, mother, father, divine husband, and divine wife, and there's no trauma. There's no withholding of love between the divine mother, twin ray, and the divine father, twin ray, accepting and allowing it in. There's zero cross wiring. There's no association with love that leads to pain. And unfortunately, that's where all of that interference, that's where all of that forgetting, that's where all of that, reversal matrix stuff came from. So they know this about the entire human species. All nature of conflict is either union or separation frequency. And therefore, their gift for the solution for our souls is please remember how to give and receive love with us. Come back to basics, okay? Because we've never forgotten our original state of at oneness. The Divine Mother is always gushing, right? This holographic heart cell reflection of her communion with her husband, the monad, God source creation. They've never gone into any form of separation. We have, because we saw our mothers and our fathers and our grandmothers and our grandfathers go into some version of forgetting. So they're going to override your separation programming. That's the arc of grace. Now, one must be brave enough and humble enough to admit that without their assistance of the hieros gamos, it's going to be very difficult to fall madly in love with your internal twin flame without a whole lot of help. So a lot of people get it like intellectually, and they're like, oh yes, I've reunited with my internal twin flame, and it's still cognitive.
Yeah.
The upper quantum hieros gamos is like let me walk you through that process again in all naked honesty. You know?
And let me, if I may,
Simon.
translate exactly what you're saying, because you used the word, you said gushing, and that's a good word, actually. And the difference between the quantum field and the world of form is the infinite nature of it. So the non-temporal is infinite. So on the earth, we have been programmed very, 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 very pervasively into doing things to get something. So everything is essentially programmed to be conditional. I'll love you if you love me. I'll do this for you if you do this for me. I'll pay for this if you give me that, right? So it's all about transfer and exchange, okay? But it's the kind of exchange has been based around what can you do for me? Okay, that's what we call the horizontal chakra system, which some people tend to be very take, take, take. Some people tend to be very give, give, give. Neither of those polarities is healthy if they're just alone. Rather than just one or the other, what we're saying is, okay, there is a way we can literally move beyond all of that types of programming, which is pervasive. I mean, Devi and I have lots of late night chats about it. We really do. And, you know, every day we're out there trying to operate in a 3D existence with all sorts of stuff. And, you know, it's not easy to necessarily maintain it, but it requires the connection to the non-temporal, because it's the infinite nature of it that is the game changer. Okay. In the 3D world, we live in what is the illusion of something being finite. We know it's not finite, but it's that illusion because light is so slowed down that we're living in this treacle-like viscosity. Okay, it's slow. And so it's very easy to fall for that illusion. And we're constantly told that illusion from the moment we're born. This is breaking the illusion. And when enough of us break it, believe me, we're going to get there. We're going to make it. And that's what we're doing. We're doing our best to show people there's a different way. And if enough of us work open-heartedly and do our best to let go of the old patterning, then we're going to create a wave of change. And that wave of change, supported by the Arc of Grace, is going to turn into a tsunami. And it's that tsunami that will that has the power to bring in the golden age that the Hopi Indians prophesied. The age of eternal love, the age of true wisdom, the age of unconditional giving, the age of true abundance, not separation, not being finite, not greed and disease that emerges from that limited perspective. But to get there, we have to activate that inner twin flame. We have to be a perfected reflector of the quantum field, supernal triad, whatever you want to call it, Ein Sof, the infinite power of the Lord, of Goddess. We have to really open ourselves up to it and recognize that we contain within our field the blueprint of it, because we are actually an expression of it, but we haven't yet woken up, most of us, to that. That's all.
Very good.
Microcosm is in the macrocosm. The macrocosm is in the microcosm. The one is in the whole. The whole is in the one. Only through the hologram of truth, the hologram of love, the hologram of light, the hologram of grace is this possible. So that's basically our framework. And now we can actually have a direct experience if people are open and receptive to that, so that it's not just conversation about it and there's an opening into it, if that would be appealing or welcomed.
So you're going to lead us into an experience, right?
Yes, and Simon and I deeply bow to the both of you, because we know your soul's already familiar with this fabric of consciousness. So it's really all four of us that's transmitting this together for all of humanity.
Thank you. I can feel everyone coming into the heart. Minds are busy, but now we're surrendering the mind for this heart space activity. Thank you.
So if everybody would like to do a little bit of anatomy, follow your rib cages where they come together and the pointy bone in the middle of your chest. That cartilage is called the xiphoid process. Underneath that part of your human anatomy course, each and every one of us has a central channel, the Sushumna, the Pranic 2, the Jet. Trace down through the very middle pillar of light underneath your xiphoid process. You will see inside of there a glowing, spiraling, spinning diamond that we call the soul seed or the seed of light. It's physically positioned at the very base of your heart. Feel that like you're holding the base of a lotus flower or the base of the rose. And Simon and I have opened up our seeds of light, our soul seeds, and they're transmitting both the gold and the white, opalescent, iridescent radiance of those mother-father channels and conduits of divine energy, so that this part of you that has the activation archives, the architecture, the structures of the blueprint of consciousness housed inside of your body. Breathe into this soul seed point and allow it to rise up and feed or nourish the electromagnetic circuitry of the womb of your heart, the vortex of your heart, the holy grail of your heart. Now, the soul seed is very, very etheric, right? So feel that as a plasma point, and feel this heart chamber as the electromagnetic. Breathe into the electrical energy of the Divine Father within your heart. Breathe into the magnetic energy of the Divine Mother within your heart. And then breathe down into that soul seed, into the plasma energy of the Divine Child. I am that I am. Let that echo. Now feel that heart and soul seed making love. I am the Divine Mother. I am the Divine Father. The electricity and magnetism, this heart sanctuary. Now breathing that down into I am the Divine Child. Within the center, that diamond pulsing seed of light. And let yourself remember who you are as pure divine substance in what we call the swing between worlds, even before you were conceived in the body of your mother, even before the egg of your human mother and the sperm of your human father united in that mystical coitus in the womb. Through the human womb of your mother, now journey back into the great mother's womb, the womb at the center of all that is, and reconceive yourself in their image. The indigenous people call this the great fertility of the mother goddess and her beloved, the divine consort. Go past your human mother, go past your human father in your body to remember, yes, that original immaculate conception with the beloveds at the center of all that is. This original divine blueprint that Simon is speaking of is also in the reflection of this original pattern of perfection from the ongoing moment of creation, also known as your original divine instructions from the purity of your source connection. It's the way Oracle Girl language is it. And you agreed to take this journey into form from their love, unconditional love of you and for you, bringing that memory into the body of your birth, into your human vehicle, first, second, third trimester, in the day that you take that oxygen in that first breath of creation into your body. Now breathe in the breath of light. into all your cells, into all your atoms. I am that I am, the breath of creation, breathing into this human body, while still staying connected to the swing between worlds. You are light, and light you shall remain in your body. Welcome to planet Earth. You have birthed your divinity into form. Ratish no nea arra aenia site. And as you are growing up on this planet now, you also have the emanation, the pulsation of this internal twin flame, your divine complementary energy signature that's always swimming around inside of you, merging, repairing, reformulating, reconstellating, rewiring anything that you brought in from any other timeline, you fell into any form of amnesia, of disconnection from your true self. Feel Simon and I in front of you and also in back of you. Feel the Divine Mother and the Divine Father on the right of you and on the left of you. Feel your twin flame above you and feel the love of Mother, Father, Earth underneath you. And now come back home to center. Kisopatara alai nane. Hairos Gamos is a template. Shibeantotara. Open up to this hierogamic quantum physics template above you, below you, before you, behind you, to the right and the left, and now anchor it within. Particularly as you sleep tonight, feel the original primordial twin flame beloveds working with you in the dream lodge. Simon's also going to bring you back in, reorient you, reground you back into the present moment. However, a part of you is always going to be connected to this hierogamic truth. If you ever forget, go back to the soul seed, go back to the heart womb, bring all three energies together and say, I choose to restore my shamanic quantum alchemy with this Hieros Gamos original divine blueprint as a gift of grace for all of us. Unequivocally, you are already worthy. Open up that divine innocence. You are already deserving. This is the game changer for the empowerment and the miraculous manifestation, the awakening of the human race. As Simon reorients you back into the rooted, anchored presence within your body.
Thank you. Redeeming, returning, resurrecting, recalibrating, realigning, activating. All of these beautiful ideas and concepts and energy. Feel it grounding, permeating, imbuing, opening, remembering who we truly are. Remember, hold that. Ipsos agape, open. Ipsos kataros, by the same mouth, with the power of unconditional love. We open. From the same source, we purify, we cleanse, we heal, we harmonize, we balance, we align, we extend, we expand, we ascend. Ipsos agape, open. Hieros Gamos, Sophia Christos, Isis, Magdalena, Gaia. We bring this beauteous arc into the earth, as above, so below. Kita is in Malkut and Malkut is in Kita. Heaven on earth. Our job as light workers is to bring through the infinite power and the love and the wisdom of Lord Melchizedek, avatar of unity consciousness, director of the platinum ray of divine wisdom, the divine masculine principle, married with the divine feminine, the Sophia, the great enabling creatrix. And this beauty may weave and interface and land slowly and softly within our field. even within our physical body, opening the endocrine system, the high heart, and spiritualizing our hormones, beginning the transmutation process on the deepest and most subtle levels, opening us to the new soul circuitry, imbuing us with its love and kindness, its compassion. There is no judgment. You are safe. You are receiving that which you always, your heart always wanted. And now that beauty can land here and now in you. And as it does so, it lands in you and grounds in you deep into the earth. So we enable this beautiful planet Gaia and help it as it helps us in its ascension and transmutation. And as its vibration moves according to the holy prophecies into a greater enlightened state, so all its inhabitants may also be entrained by this beauteous shift of divine love. The rays of the infinite permeating, penetrating, activating, opening. Receive this blessing now.
Aho and Om.
Oh.
Thank you so much. It's so beautiful. I know we're all involved in our own way in this massive, transfiguration of our cellular and genetic makeup, and the work that you're doing, both individually and collectively, is of great assistance, I feel. And it's just a pleasure and an honor to hear your words of wisdom and to receive that activation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And feel the correlation between this direct experience in the month of December, particularly is heightened between the December 12th, 12/12 Stargate, and the winter solstice or the winter's Yule. Between those two, right, Gregorian calendar dates, this is where you really rooted in with that ancient moment of the Immaculate Conception, the longest night of the year. Same process happens inside of us. So this is in total partnership with the seasonal shifts and the timing of your summit. So bravo on orchestrating these ancient practices for modern times.
Thank you. And I'd like to also say, for people watching this on a practical level, you've got to take the kids to school. You've got to put some food on your table. You've got to do A, B, and C. You've got projects and things you're doing. When we hold this higher energy and really activate it and really live by it, it helps us manifest seamlessly those realities that are really aligned to our true highest timeline or Dharma. Because the work that Devi and I do is also very linked to bringing in the highest timelines and recognizing that the reason that humanity has been on a trajectory that in many cases is negative, in most cases it's negative and diseased in different ways, is because we've been strapped, if you like, to the lower timelines. This
yes.
work is a work of liberation, transformation, and liberation. So when you're taking the kids to school, when you're at work doing something, or when you're just around your daily life, working with this energy and working with it consciously so it becomes second nature will just permeate into everything you do. You'll have a smile on your face wherever you go. Wherever I go, I always get a table at a restaurant. Wherever I go, I walk into places. It's not that I'm so special. I don't claim to be, but I do the work as best I can. When you carry that energy, people who even aren't necessarily on the esoteric path yet, they feel it. They feel there's something about this people. I mean, it happens even when I take my children. We were at the airport recently, and my grown-up kids are teenagers now, and people were coming up to us and saying, what is it about? Who are you guys? I mean, we get it all the time. Who are you?
They feel it.
Well,
They
we're
do
just
feel it.
just a family. We're going on holiday. Who are you? Well, because people feel there's a different frequency, and they may not understand why, but they can feel it. So I encourage everybody who's watching this. Of course, we're talking very esoteric concepts. We're talking things that are quite out of the ordinary. but it does have a practical benefit on daily life. Health is a good example, you know. We seem to be getting younger, looking younger,
We
longer,
are.
and
We are.
healthier, and feel the energy, and that, you know, so it permeates on every single level, you know, for just basic human reality. When we work with these higher frequencies and we work to activate that inner twin flame, and we are here to help you if you need help. You know, we have some great pre-recordings that have been done that we found, you know, the responses from people was just amazing. I mean, it's just fantastic. And we can share those if people are interested at the end of the show. There are things that you can obtain so you can work with these energies without us being present. But we're here to help you and support you from our experience. We're just like you. It's just some of us have done it a little bit longer, that's all.
Well, you're the living example of that, you know, happiness is contagious. You don't have to go up to people and say, I'm radiating the coherent codes of creation and you're feeling it. You don't have to say that. You just, I'm living a happy, successful life and I'm sharing that with you and you're feeling that.
Yeah.
It's that
Yeah.
simple. You don't have to make it complicated for people to come onto that, really step
Yeah.
onto this ascension pathway and
Yeah.
find that higher part of themselves. And along
Yeah.
that way, it's lots of joy and happiness.
Yes, there is. And there's lots of stuff we're going to lose as well. Okay, things that aren't really aligned are going to, just like the caterpillar coming out of the cocoon, you know,
Yes,
to a butterfly. There's bits of shell that are no longer relevant. They were relevant once maybe, but they're no longer relevant, so they fly off. So people that we may have associated with, we may not associate with much, but going to attract different types of things, better things that are more aligned to the new focus and the new energy of the heart-centered nature of ascension in its true form. So, you know, the benefits are manifold. They affect everything when you walk the path and do your best and practice non-attachment. It's very important to practice it on a basic level. Learning that every time we get triggered, I say, oh, people say to me, oh, Simon, I just thought about, you've gone horizontal. I just remember what Simon says. I've just gone a bit horizontal. It's okay. We're human. We can get back on our feet quickly though, when we slip, which we will from time to time. So
I love the metaphor of the caterpillar. I love that because, you know, if you were to ask the caterpillar, are you aware you're becoming a butterfly? The caterpillar's going to say, you know. And that's such a great description of all of us, of humanity. Where are we really aware of the potentials? We're just becoming, you know, just stepping into it. The whales say, you know, the toddlers are starting to walk, you know. I mean, we really are. We're starting to stand up and take conscious notice of the world around us and see that wisdom that's there. So
Yes,
beautiful.
and specifically the whale medicine and the dolphin medicine in that holographic field that they hold with us, they know about the rites of passage and they know about the principles of initiation. And so what Simon and I are committed to is people having a direct experience with this Hieros Gamos lineage through their direct rites of passage or that initiation that's a part of every mystery school. And it moves it into a far more respectful and far more intimate immersion and refamiliarization. It's not like a class. It's not like a course. These are like your holy, sacred rites of passage. And that's so important for me to people to feel that they're being honored from that divine presence within them as they return to the temple. So this is the Hieros Gamos temples, and they're being welcomed back into this heritage. Just a really lovely welcome back.
And it's completely segues with the Holy Grail mysteries. So it's all forms part of the same true original Gnostic tradition of the heart womb, opening the heart so it becomes a chalice of the infinite. When that happens, genius is inevitable because we're all geniuses, really. It's just some people haven't woken up to it yet. When Mozart composed Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star at 6 years old, he had access to a beam of light by default, and then became obviously the famous composer. All of us have the ability to be a perfected expression of the divine. That's what a genius is. All of us have that potential. When we do this work, gateways will open up within your field. light will pour in and flood in. Your abilities to cognize information and ideas will flow seamlessly. Creative blocks will be a thing of the past. You'll just become a living receptacle of divine flow, and all its wondrous kaleidoscopic beauty will flow through you. It really will. So it's exciting when you get on the path truly and open your heart to that which is beyond in alignment, and get those twin flames sorted as inner twin flames.
Thank you for revealing the mystery school lesson. And we say often that if all we do is bring people into their hearts, we've done our job. Well, the conversation that you've both offered today is illustrative of exactly the importance of that, why that is so important in our lives. And it's beautiful. And I think I'm not alone when I say we are feeling this. And what a gift to the world when we can truly hold this frequency. Like you said, Simon, manifestation, and people pick up on it. This is what we thought we could do with Lemuria before Lemuria fell. And now we are given this opportunity to do it once and for all again.
That's beautiful,
Yes.
Lauren. That's beautiful. Thank you.
And in Lemuria, we physically held these wedding ceremonies once a year. So at the end of the series, which is why we called it Metamorphosis in the original Hyros Gamos lineage, there's the opportunity to go back into the wedding bridal chamber with primordial mother, father, source energy, marry yourself, marry your twin flame, and be reunited with this ancestral tradition where we had the healthy acknowledgement of these temples of divine love in Lemuria, even in Atlantis, and also in Mu. So all of the golden ages had this annual festival, and so Simon and I are bringing back the best of the golden ages as well, so people can have that direct immersion and experience, like I've said, restored to them, because it's your birthright to attend a wedding ceremony like this. If not every year, right? At least once in your lifetime. And then that's the game changer. That's the threshold that you walk across. I've been inside of an alchemical wedding chamber. Gnostics called it the bridal chamber, and it's life-changing.
Love that. In our work, we're constantly now bringing back that memory of the renewal of the soul's vows. And we do it in our retreats and in our classes.
Yes.
And we take that opportunity to renew the vow that you made to your soul and connect that to your divine blueprint and to the mission. Oh, what a great day that is. You know, it feels so wonderful, so uplifting. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you both for your remembrances. You make a great team. We're very fortunate to have you collaborating together, sisters of the light.
Yes, we are all connected via Lemuria, and I just love that symbology, or the idea, the concept of that Lemurian wedding within ourselves. That is powerful, and I can see many people writing that down on a sticky note so that we remember that on a daily, moment-to-moment basis. It really is powerful, and that's where the magic begins. So thank you both for that. And there's a beautiful way for people to work with you both. You have a beautiful program, a 3-part course, the Metamorphosis and the original Hyros Gamos lineage. Tell us about that before we say goodbye.
Well, imagine that you can return to Lemuria in your childhood, in this lifetime, and that you grow up with the example of this sacred union, and that you are told that at some point you yourself get to go through that ceremony on the inside with your entire community witnessing you. That's that high priestess training, that's that high priest training that you brought into this lifetime from other incarnations. And then you get to enter into that altar of the beloveds after going through whatever the necessary purifications are to heal the father wound and to heal the mother wound. So we prepare you for that wedding ceremony of the releasing of the shadow aspects in the fractured feminine and the releasing of the shadow aspects in the fractured masculine, really the cleansing and the preparation so you can wear this amazing wedding gown with the eternal unified field for that very significant internal initiatory passage into what we call spiritual adulthood. It's like you're really not an adult in the mystery schools until you've had this reunification or reintroduction to who you are in that kaleidoscope of the sun and the moon and its coherence of unity, consciousness, exponential within every genetic DNA and RNA strand. So it goes into the cellular mitosis. It's not just in the radiant energy fields around your body. It goes all the way into the cell membrane, into the mitochondria, and into the cell nucleus so that you get it causal root core in your biospiritual expression. Ta-da!
Yes,
Simon.
and so thank you. And on a practical level, it's three parts divided into 6 parts to make it easier for people. So we have the mother code. So we focus the first 2 parts of the first chapter, if you like, on the mother source code. So bringing in and activating and harmonizing and bringing through and invoking the divine mother in its purest form. Imagine a mother that never judges you. Imagine that. Yeah, marvelous idea. So we work with that both descriptively and in meditation. So we give people background and understanding that they can cognize and feel, and then meditate, which is the most important part, to actually bring in the energy of the Divine Mother. And the second chapter is the Divine Father code. So imagine a Divine Father who was always protective, never angry, always formative and creative, and you could always rely on with no judgment. Imagine that. Wonderful idea, right? Well, we call in that, and we describe that in the second part, which is over 2 parts. So, and that's the Father source code, bringing that through. And then the final part is the actual marriage of those 2, which of course the twin flame, their love for each other, these beautiful archetypes in the quantum field, their love and devotion for each other is infinite. And they come together, and that's the marriage, the sacred alchemical marriage. We call it quantum shamanic alchemy. It's the highest form of alchemy. Al, A-L, means God. Aleph Lamed, if you study Hebrew, Aleph Lamed, God. La is goddess. So the idea of the Godhead, the chemicals of the gods, if you like, the true grand order of design, G-O-D, God, Godhead, grand order of design, the supreme patterning of the infinite, permeating down into a sacred marriage, which we then hold within our field. So we're activating in our own field this twin flame. And then from that emerges, of course, the beautiful arc of grace. And in practical terms, it has a big effect on the people that work with us on this. I mean, just even myself, you know, the physical detox is huge. We're detoxing physically, we're detoxing emotionally. What are we detoxing from? Well, things that aren't aligned to that pure nature. So it could be programs, it could be emotional dissonance, it could be ancestral karma because, you know, dad was difficult, or mum was abusive, or mum was just confused and subservient, or whatever it might be. All of that ancestral karmic stuff that has permeated into our field can then be restructured, ameliorated, cleansed, purified, and brought back into a state of true harmony, personal power, vertical alignment. The tri-wave then emerges, and then we transfigure into a different type of human, the true nature of the butterfly angel coming out of the caterpillar and expressing, reflecting all the divine qualities which are inherently within us. Keep telling everybody, inherently humans are good. We've just been misguided, misprogrammed, and disconnected. But we are inherently good. I believe in the goodness of humans, but we need help. We need divine help. That's what we're calling in for everybody. We're calling in for intervention. The world needs intervention. It needs divine intervention. And that's what we are invoking. We can't just carry on. The trajectory is Armageddon. We're not going to go down that path. That path is not going to happen because the timeline clearance technology is here, and we're going to let go of all that stuff and transmute and transform and entrain as best we can, all those willing and open and wanting a truly better world for everybody.
Onward and upward, huh? Knows that old metaphor?
Onwards,
They keep
upwards, and
rescheduling.
outward. Onwards, upwards, outwards.
Yeah,
It's an
and outward,
expansion.
right.
It's an ascension. It's an expansion. It's an activation and a recalibration. All of it, to really birth a new kind of human, which is expressive and reflective of divine principles.
Yeah.
Bravo. Everyone watching and listening wants that. Absolutely. We're all on board. High five on that. Excellent.
We have to do a bit of work, though.
Yes.
And it's within a village. It's physically within a community. We already have initiates that went through their rites of passage this fall around the autumnal equinox. So there's the personal experience with the quote unquote lineage restoration. And then there are other beloveds around the planet have already taken these steps. So we're really coalescing this cooperative collaboration. So it's not just your personal journey or quest, it's also realizing that you have other brothers and sisters out there that you'll be able to meet as a result of taking the journey.
Community is very important. Very
Yes.
important. So, Devi and I, we run some big groups on Facebook. We have the smaller groups for people who are directly connected to the work. And we do a lot of work outside. We give back a lot. And we know the power of good intention in combination really grows exponentially. So it's not just, buy a tape from us. And it's a connecting to these teachings. Committing, investing, connecting, committing, investing, connecting. And what you will get back is not just the teachings and the meditations to hear, listen and enjoy and connect and activate you. You also have the opportunity to join our communities of love and heart-centeredness, and find support from like-minded people. And that's, always been the backbone of what I've done. Bringing people together and retreats and communities, it works. And, and I'm very happy when you get people together from the heart. It doesn't matter what age they are. I mean, my daughter's like 19, my other one's 23. They all take part in what I do. And we all mix with people of all different ages, different backgrounds and stuff, connected by desire for a better world, connected by the heart. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's enriching. It really is.
Excellent. Really wonderful, both of you. Thank you so much for this. Thank you for the Quantum Shamanic Alchemy Mystery Series. Again, I just want to tell everyone that's on this webpage. Wherever you're watching or listening to this video, it's in the description box. Check it out. I know that it's very high vibrational, and this is a desire for so many to work with that on a closer level with both of you. So thank you for that. Wow, it's been wonderful. And we invite our audience to hold this frequency, to go back and work with that process that you showed us with the heart, because that feels exquisite. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Lori, I want to give you a moment to add your final comments along with Devi and Simon.
Just think the work you're doing in the realms of self-empowerment is so important. And I loved the way you worked together and you wove your energy and the expression of that everyone can do it. We all are the sleeping avatar. It's all in there. We have the DNA that just needs to calibrate and activate and restore itself to our divine selves. And we're doing this together. Like you said, it's so important to connect now, that the freedom that we're seeking, that as individuals, which is the true self-empowerment, is to feel the freedom, the God source flowing through you, is coming to pass now. It's happening, as my partner's joking right now. Some of you know her, Master Cat Footer. She's saying, have you noticed they keep rescheduling Armageddon?
I love it.
Yay.
It's gonna happen, folks. I'm sorry. We're in charge, even though, we're not all pervasive on the news and the 3D dimensional world out there. But, every day another person's heart is opening and awakening, and they're claiming their power, and they're coming back to community, and they're living in the heart, and they're shutting this analytical duality process down and remembering more about who they are. And your work is so important in those realms. So once again, we're so honored that you could be with us today and to share in this fantastic, empowering summit that we're doing on self-empowerment.
Well, it's wonderful. It feels like I'm back with old friends. And it's like when you do this work, and I just, I saw you, Laurie. I just, it's like I know you. It's like we're connected to the heart. We've had many of us have had lives together. And it's like meeting an old friend. It's wonderful. And that's how the world should be. That's how it should be. And it can be like that if enough of us do the work and believe it. It can be like that. It doesn't have to be separation, competition, greed, and suffering. It can be heart-centered, sacred commerce, love, sharing, and abundance for all. That's what our focus is.
Yeah. And just remembering it's a choice, to be loving in every moment, thought, word, and deed. It's a choice to be loving or not to be loving. That is the ultimate question. And I think more and more people are coming to that, if they sink into any kind of negative energy or duality, or they have, as again, my partner says, they have the opportunity to join an argument. Choose again.
Yes, the terminology in many of the schools of mastery is choose again.
Choose again.
Willingness, awareness, and choice, and choose again. And in this particular alchemical quantum grace, part of the marriage is through the union of love as a frequency and grace as a frequency coming together as husband and wife. And this is really that demarcation of the penetration. It's a tantric penetration, it's soul tantra. The penetration of the multidimensional love into those spaces in our bodies that have never known how to receive divine source creation love frequency in a body. That's the grace factor. So they marry the love and the grace because it's going to reach that core wound. And we do talk about that most of the core wounds that we inherit are ancestral and archetypal. Therefore, it's way bigger than you as an individual. So we'd like to give you this huge, AKA a secret sacred weapon of light penetration, light permeation, so that any and all residue that's forgotten its original at one-ment with source can get the help it needs. So we say love is awesome, and please incorporate that hieros gamos with the grace, because then you're going to get it into the bottom of the barrel that's kind of been resistant all along. And then that's where we see the transformation in the dissolution of war and that old aggression fields. If you want to desire to assist, right, the prevention of that large scale international conflict, cleanse it, purify it out of your own ancestral and archetypal DNA records, cell memory, purge it. And that's a sacred service that then you're actually offering to the Middle East, because it moves through your body to where you live, into the land, into the Earth's new grid system. So this is the upgrade that we've all been asking for from those divine parents, the original twin rays of us all.
And if I might just quote Reverend Devi Grace, peace is an inside job. Great quote. I've stolen it. Totally. Peace is an inside job. Peace starts within. Work on yourself. Staying with twin flames. People are always looking for their twin flame outside. Get your inner twin flame sorted, people. Sort out your inner stuff, and then you'll attract the outer. Peace is an inside job. We want peace. Create peace within yourself. We have the technology to help you do that. We really do.
Thank you so much again.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Laurie.
You're welcome.
Feeling so good and so empowered that we are making miracles from this episode. Thank you both. Thank you, Laurie. And thank you, everyone, for watching us. Hold this frequency because it feels so good. And you remember, namaste.
Namaste.
This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in Unity Consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.